What's up, D learners? It's your girl, Lady D. All right, D learners, I am here today to talk to you about my unschooling, homeschooling schedule for my three sons. So I have been homeschooling my three boys since they were in second grade, fourth grade, and fifth grade. They are now in sixth grade, eighth grade, and my ninth grader is homeschooling, but he is doing an online program. And I talk about that in a different video. But my younger two are still unschooling, homeschooling. Now, even though I unschool as a version of homeschooling, we still have rules that my children and I have come up with together. Woo, there's a bug, sorry. That my children and I have come up with so that our home, which is our community, runs smoothly. So we developed this schedule kind of together based on the first year that we homeschool. We kind of let them wake up when they were ready to and do what they wanted to do, very radical unschooling. As they started getting older, we talked about the fact that they do at some point want to either go to the military, go to college, or start businesses, so that there are the things that they need to learn. And one thing is that they are members of a community. So one thing that we want them to understand is the community is our household. So there are certain things that have to get done. So even though I unschool, I know some unschooling parents do not have their children do chores. My children do chores because that is their responsibility as community members. So I'm going to talk to you about how their schedule is and what they're kind of doing right now as their schedule. So I do have, as usual, some notes just so I stay on track and I can get you guys out of here as quickly as possible. So around 9 o'clock, they wake up in the morning and they do their morning prayers. We have gone up and down, fluctuating with the time that they wake up. Sometimes it was 8, then it was 10, but we worked out 9 o'clock being the best time for them, and their bodies seem to really like it. They go to bed at 11:30 p.m. So they sleep for about 9 to 10 hours a night. And this has been pretty consistent. 11, 12 o'clock is their bedtime pretty consistently since they've been unschool homeschooling. So when they wake up in the morning, they're supposed to thank God for another wonderful day. So that's their just moment of reflection and prayer time, one-on-one time with God. Then after that, they usually use the bathroom and then they go outside. And this is in all types of weather. They will pretty much go outside and do what's called their personal fitness routine. So that's either going to be jump roping or jumping jacks. And then they're going to either sprint 10 times back and forth in the backyard, or they will run around the block until they have run for 1 mile. So we started that because my kids are student athletes. Athletics is very big and very important. Fitness is very big and very important in my household. So after that, they wash up and change their clothes into the clothes that they're going to wear for the day. Because in our household, we decided that we do not sit around in pajamas. That's our household. We all decided that when we wake up in the morning, you wash your butt, period. So they then make their bed because it's just nice to walk around the house and be able to have a presentable bed. Then they'll read their text messages. So sometimes I will have sent them a message, their dad will have sent them a message. For my oldest son, who does kind of do this schedule too still, even though he's on an online program, he will read emails from his teacher. The other two, because they're unschooling, they just see what me and their dad said about the day or what we might have said to greet them for the morning. Next, they're going to eat breakfast. They may or may not have to cook breakfast. I may have already cooked breakfast and put it out for them. It just really depends on the day. After breakfast, they have breakfast chores. So that's just pretty much the last person to get up from the table that day at breakfast has to clean off the table. Then the first person that gets up, they take the dishes from last night, they dry them and take them out the dishwasher, and the second person that gets up may put them away, or that first person may put them away. It really just depends on how much dishes there are. Then all of that, and after they finish all that, they go into their bathroom, they wipe the toilet, go ahead and they brush their hair, brush their teeth, put on deodorant, and put some moisturizer or grease on their lips, and then they clean off the sink. So that way we have a clean toilet and clean sink for the day. Then no later than usually 10 o'clock, that's their personal academic opportunity. So they will find an academic opportunity that they're interested in. Usually they will find a book that they would like to read. They might write something. They'll take out their writing journal. They might have an idea that they want to write about, or they will do math. Now, math is something that I had stopped unschooling a while ago and got my kids a tutor for math, and she does give them math worksheets to do, but my kids really like their math teacher. They think she's amazing. They like the worksheets. They do math for fun. So it's still unschooling because they do math when they want to. Yes, she is telling them what types of math that they should study, but a lot of the problems that she gives them are very practical and life skills types of classes. So I only want my kids to focus for about an hour on something before they take a break. So usually I tell them to set their alarm clock or a clock for an hour. In an hour, they get up and they do a BSA, brain stimulation activity. So that could be jumping jacks, push-ups, squats, dips, up downs, whatever their brain stimulation activity. They can pick 2 to 3 exercises to get their blood going again. Usually this is the time that they drink water. Again, my kids are student athletes. They're outside a lot. They lose a lot of water through sweat, and I don't like for them to always be drinking things like Gatorade and Powerade. I'd rather them be well hydrated before they get out and start their day. So after their brain stimulation activity, they usually do another set of 1 hour of some kind of activity. So it'll be whatever they didn't do first. So if in the morning they did math, that next hour they might do writing or reading. So usually that's when they do the things that take sit down, concentration type of things, things that they're interested in. So after their second hour of brain stimulation activity, they will usually, sometimes they'll have another personal fitness time for anywhere between 30 minutes to 20 to 30 minutes. Or they're gonna do something, they're just gonna go ahead and probably eat something around that time. So that usually takes them to around 12:30, 1 o'clock when they're eating lunch most of the time. So they go ahead, I either have some leftovers available. If I don't have any leftovers for them to eat, they'll go ahead and they'll fix some lunch. So after they eat lunch, then the next step is they will usually watch a movie. It's usually some kind of documentary based on what they're interested in. I think my son said he's watching something about cars from the olden days and how they put them together. My other son said he's watching different brain game activities. They typically pick what they want to watch, which documentaries they're interested in. My only thing is I tell them that they should take notes on what they're watching, because I just want them to know how to take notes when they're hearing somebody talk or when they're watching some kind of documentary, so that if they do decide to go to a school one day, they will know how to take notes and be able to refer back to those notes. So after they have that time, They'll go back to doing some more chores. Usually that has to do with doing the laundry, seeing if any dishes need to go into the dishwasher, putting their clothes away. Sometimes that entails some sweeping or maybe some vacuuming. And after that hour of doing that, that's when they do their either performing arts or visual arts. So during that time, they usually spend an hour to an hour 15 minutes on whatever visual art activity they're interested in for the day. And the reason we decided to put this at the end of the day is because by then they're just done with seated activities. So for my kids, reading takes a lot of concentration, math takes a lot of concentration, writing takes a lot of concentration. So they rather do those types of activities in the morning and then have their afternoon to do artsy and performing arts and visual arts activities. A lot of times the library will have free activities for them to do, and I'll go ahead and sign them up for classes that they're interested in, and that way they can do those at the library. So usually that gets us to about 4:30, where they will eat another snack before their evening sports activities. So sports usually start right around anywhere between 5-6 o'clock, and I'm getting distracted, there's another bug. So the sports that they play are typically, they like boxing, so they box year round, and then 2 of my boys play football. My youngest is showing interest in basketball, so we may sign him up for that this year. And my oldest said he's starting to show some interest in baseball. We may or may not sign him up for that. They've tried some other things like soccer and flag football, so they've tried a couple different sports, and they're still exploring and kind of unschooling their way into what they're interested in athletically. So usually sports are from 5 to 7, 6 to 8, somewhere around that time, and we're usually done with sports then after that. On Mondays, the boys do go to Boy Scouts from 7 to 8, and then sometimes on the weekends the Boy Scouts will have activities. But usually a lot of times the boys will work on their merit badges during their academic opportunity times. So then we get home and eat, usually around 8:45. The boys take their showers and they kind of hang around the house. I might let them watch a little something with me or one episode of a show, but usually there's no TV going on. So right after that, they clean up the kitchen and make sure that all the dishes have been started that we were using throughout the day, and they make sure that the floor is swept and kind of everything in the house is just neat and organized and ready for that next day. So usually that takes us to about 10:30, and around 10:30 is prayer and devotionals and kind of settling down, and the boys will do that. Usually they will read scripture on their own. Sometimes I will read it with them, but typically they will go ahead and they will do their scripture reading on their own. Then by 11, between 11 and 11:30, it's time for bed. So the boys will give me a kiss goodnight, and they usually tuck me in and then they'll go to bed. So that's our Unschool Homeschool schedule. I know that it's not 100% free schooling, because there is a schedule to our day, but that just is because the kids want to get stuff done and there's so much that they want to do. So don't